Hi everyone, my name is Tanya. Today we are in our Oakland office and I have the great pleasure of interviewing Jen Myzel, the author of Yellow Lotus Flower. Welcome, thank you for being here. And how are you?
I'm great. Yeah,
Awesome.
I just came from the music studio. I was recording another children's sing-along book actually.
Awesome, and can we get maybe, is it still a secret or?
Oh, I didn't write it actually,
Okay.
I just wrote the music.
Okay.
So someone else wrote the words, but it's about a rainbow unicorn.
Awesome,
So,
unicorns
you
are
know.
in right now.
I know.
Yeah, awesome. And if it's okay, we can jump right into the first question. So when did you begin expressing yourself creatively?
Well, first of all, hi everybody out there. I actually knew I wanted to be a writer when I was like 4 years old. I got a diary and I wrote down in it like, I'm going to be a writer when I grow up. And I guess I stuck to that. Yeah, I started writing songs when I was 19. It was like when I started actually learning guitar and putting my poetry to music, and that was kind of like the start of something very special for me, because songwriting is really where I find my passion.
Awesome.
Yeah, creatively.
No, that's great. Did it take a while to learn the guitar? It just came naturally?
No, it took a while.
Oh, okay.
I'm still learning.
Okay,
yeah,
I was like,
but you know, now I'm an elementary school music teacher, so I'm playing all the time. So.
Awesome. And just guitar or other instruments?
I'm learning piano now,
Okay.
but guitar is my main instrument. Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. I definitely need to get into instruments on sports, so it's like, that's a new realm. Should be exciting though. Do you remember the moment that inspired you to become a writer?
Not particularly. I think it was just always like in me, innate.
Okay.
Like I just always loved to write. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And what is the process of writing a children's book like?
Well, for this book in particular, it started as a song, and then when I published it, or like put it out there into the world on a CD, kids and their families started hearing it.
Okay.
And then there would be kids singing the song back to me. And I was like, oh, okay, kids really like this song. Maybe I should think about making it into a children's book. And I started thinking about what the images might be, and then I asked my friend who's an illustrator if she wanted to make the book with me.
Yeah.
And so that's how it all began.
Awesome.
And that was 5 years ago. Yeah.
That's great. Well, we definitely appreciate that, and now we have it in front of us. Great. What's the hardest part about writing a book?
Oh my God. Well, one of my teachers in the world, Joanna Macy, she's like an elder and author in the Bay Area. She once said, I remember at a workshop, she said, the best way to find out what you really think about something is to write a book about it. Because you have to really think about every word and every line and every detail. And so, yeah, I think that like picking apart every line and sentence, especially to make sure that it was age appropriate, was one of the hardest parts, but also most fun, because I sourced my kids who I teach to help give me ideas.
Awesome.
And that was really fun. I would say also just like, because I self-published this book, learning the whole process from scratch of how to, you know, fundraise for it, where to publish the book, how there's so many steps along the way to self-publishing that I've learned a lot about.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Joanna Macy is tuning in right now, and give.
I doubt she goes on Facebook, but
she might be. But we do
maybe
have
for today.
Yeah, we do have Paola, a musician and writer, super talented in regards to you. So wanted to share that with you. And then, what inspired you to write this book? And I know you kind of touched base a little bit, but maybe elaborating a bit more.
Yeah, totally. Should I like look at you or the camera?
Oh, whichever you like. I was like kind of eye contact.
I'm like, I want to talk to you all people out there too. So what inspired me to write this book was that I was going through the most difficult time of my life when this song came to me.
Okay.
And I was just like really struggling with my health and my body and my mind and spirit and just in a bad place.
Okay.
And that's a lot of times like when music comes to me is during those times. And so this song was about like having the faith and the trust that I was gonna make it through this like tight space. And I happened to actually be on a lake, and when I was like writing the song and I saw a yellow lotus flower. So I like to commune with nature in my writing and in my art, and so I also say in the back of the book like thank you to the lotus flower herself for kind of teaching me and giving me the words to the song, because I feel that I like to have like other than human things write through me also.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
And then talking about the yellow lotus flower is also a song. How did you approach writing it? And I guess there's a few to that. So how did you approach to writing it?
How did I approach writing it? What do you mean exactly?
Just maybe you wanted a short song, a longer song, rhyming, or just...
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
I wanted a song that really told the full story of the flower. It's longer than like an average kid song or a song on the radio. It's like 7 minutes long.
Okay.
So yeah, I wanted it to be like a substantial book. It also was just sort of how it happened. I didn't want it to get boring and have too many details, but I did want to go through like the whole life cycle of the flower. Can I open to a few
definitely.
pages?
Yeah. Oh, and this one's actually signed by you.
Oh, cool. Awesome. This was actually the first event I did when this book came out, was with Tandem, Bay Area, and that was a really great event. Because actually the kids made little yellow lotus flowers for the event. It was really sweet. But anyway, yeah, so I just like, I wanted to show the whole life cycle from seed to growing up through the leaves. And then it also follows the inner journey of the main character too, Lotus Girl. So yeah,
awesome.
That was kind of what determined the length and the style. Yeah.
Great, awesome. And why do you think it's valuable for young children to sing and make music?
I think it's very valuable for children to make music. It makes me super sad when there's not music programs in schools. Music is so magical, and it takes us out of our linear minds, and children already live in that space, that magical and kind of more creative space, and I think that music brings them into that. I mean, there's also studies that show that music helps the mind make connections more strongly, and I think it's also a really powerful way of storytelling through songs. I love books in general and children's books.
We do too here at Tandem.
Yes, indeed. And this is my particular like niche, is like songbooks, and I'm really passionate about making more children's songbooks.
Awesome. Yeah. But no, you are definitely right of the music. Like for me, it's cooking, and I need to have a song on, so I can like cut the julienne, the peppers correctly. I was like, I don't know what it is, but the music needs to be on for me to create something magical. Whether it tastes good or not, I just need the music there. So at least it's a good song. The dish might have a positive or negative taste, but yeah, awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
Your book talks about, like you mentioned, more challenging emotions like sadness, grief. Why do you think it's important for children's books to talk about feeling these emotions?
Well, I feel like there's more and more kids' books that are really doing a great job at that. I think because kids are humans, and we grow up and we have challenging emotions and experiences. It's just a part of life, and for that to become more normalized and for us to actually learn about it in school and through our media, then we just are given more tools to succeed in life and to know that actually I don't always have to get it right. I don't always have to be perfect. Like The Big Oops, and there's all these really great, I think that's what it's called, right? There's a book called The Big Oops, or
There might be. I was like, I'm
Maybe
sure.
it's a
Maybe we have it in
play or
our library.
But yeah, just more books about self-acceptance when times get difficult. Also, on the more like planetary scheme of things, I really think about what the world is like for the kids growing up now, and given like the realities of climate change and all the things that our world is facing today, to know that like even as a collective we could go through something really difficult and it could possibly bring us through to a different chapter.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great, thank
So
you.
yes, I like to bring in both the personal and the collective, and a lot of people when they read this might not think that automatically, like, oh, that must be what she's thinking, but I think on some level the book can be relevant to like many different levels of reality.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Great. And then Emily did chime in on our Facebook Live that she agreed music is in schools is so important and unlocks creativity in the brain and helps children remember what they learn. She sings all the time.
Yay! Are you a teacher, Emily?
Emily is with Tandem, and Emily has a wonderful voice. So
Awesome.
she probably sings better than I do.
Yay.
Great. And then a question from Robert Bezier in our LinkedIn. How a children's writer can scaffold their language to engage children and adults at the same time?
It's a good question. Yeah, when people ask me like who this book is for and what age it's for, I basically say it's for everybody. And the reason being that there's multiple layers of meaning. I would say that adults can understand all the different languages. It's more about like making sure it was appropriate for the kids. In my scenario, I actually started the book with the chorus going, so the chorus now is, yellow lotus flower, like the sun you rise up from the darkness. When tears come, your heart grows stronger, like the sun we rise up from the darkness. And before it was actually, now I'm like forgetting what the original words were because it's been a while. It was beyond grief is understanding.
Okay.
Beyond grief is understanding, like the sun we rise up from the darkness. And I taught that version to my kids. And then I asked them, I was like, so what does that mean, grief? And they're like, we don't really know. We're just singing it. And I was like, oh, okay. Maybe grief isn't necessarily an emotion that like kids relate to. Maybe they relate to like tears or pain or something that can be described more physically, but that grief is more of like an adult way of understanding. So yeah, I think it was just like turning something in the emotional realm into something more physical, like tears was like one of the things that I did throughout the book to help make it more appropriate for kids.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what do you think is the value of storytelling with young children? Kind of what you were talking about also with feelings and expressing themselves.
Yeah, well, I think storytelling is incredibly important. I think it gives us our worldview of like how to relate to the world, to other people, and I feel that inspirational stories and positive stories, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be positive stories, because I've actually been reading Aesop's fables. Are you familiar with those? Like very old fables that they're all kind of depressing and scary, but you remember them and they teach you an important lesson. So I think storytelling is is one of the greatest ways we learn. I know that like for me, I was never like really good at textbook learning, but when a teacher would tell me a story, that was how I would remember things. And even still, like that's one of my favorite ways of learning, storytelling.
No, I think I was actually having a conversation with a colleague or one of my boyfriend's friends, and it's like, I remember that story. I never knew what it meant until I became an adult. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
great. I totally missed it. I'm glad I'm older and wiser, and I get it now. It's a long time coming.
Totally, and they can be so simple too. I mean, like, and then there's some stories I still don't get, like the giving tree. I'm like, why? Like, but yeah.
Awesome.
There's other ones that, yeah, they stick with you for a long time.
That I still, yeah, you're right. I still don't get some of them, and I have to like, hey, Mom, how did it go again? I'm gonna use it. I don't know why, but I just feel like using it. Great. And for you, what makes a book engaging and powerful?
I think the dance between the words and the images, and if both the words and the images are telling a story side by side and they add on to each other, that was something really fun that we worked on. Like we actually did the illustrations for this book and then redid them all over again. And thank you, Hillary, if Hillary's watching or not yet. Like, we learned as we were going. Hillary Mendoza is the illustrator of this book. She's amazing, by the way, watercolor paintings. But yeah, like, we basically messed up like all throughout the book, and it just, the images weren't very compelling in the beginning because they were like kind of the same, and then we realized we had to add to the story through the images and not just draw exactly what it said.
Okay.
So I'd say that's one of the main things, that I've learned about storytelling. And
just a dance.
Yeah, the dance between the words and the images.
That's great. I'm gonna use that. I was like, perfect little explanation. Great. And what advice would you give to children who want to grow up to be authors, and or what advice were you given that you sound particularly good?
I would say that if you love to write and tell stories, then do it, and I've even written books that there's just one copy of them in the world, and they're for my friends, and it's like one of my favorite books I've ever written. So whether you want to like do it just for fun and make books for people as gifts, or like become an author and get your book published, it's such a joy to make them either way. So I would say just go for it. Like, and this is really for adults too. It's like, don't think like my story has to get to this point in order for me to share it. Like I feel like there are a lot of people have come to me and been like, I have a children's book I want to write or that I wrote. I'm like, yeah, you can just actually give it to people like as it is, as a story for people to enjoy or tell it. And
Awesome. Great.
Yeah.
And then at Tandem, we're all big fans of children's books, as you see from all of our wall decorations. So of course we would like to know what your favorite book is.
Yes. So I thought about this, and the book that I remember the most from my childhood is The Rainbow Fish. You know that book?
Yep.
I mean, it was very famous, I guess, but it was sparkly and it was about sharing, and it was kind of an interesting message because, I don't know if I 100% agree with it, because she's like, I have all this sparkle and now everybody needs to sparkle the same. So, but maybe the message is just like sharing your love and your wealth and your sparkle is what brings happiness, and I have found that in my life, and is that if I try to keep anything to myself, it's not as enjoyable as sharing it.
Awesome.
And also just the imagery of that book really sticks out in my memory. And we actually have a special golden magical fish in our book too. That was a little bit inspired by the rainbow fish. This is the magical golden fish.
Awesome.
Yes. And the fish even comes with a voice that she does, which you'll hear in the song if I do sing it very soon.
I think we will have time for that. And then kind of along that question of your favorite book, we do have Emily of what books do you like to read with your kids? Any standout favorites? And that could be more than one. I know
Totally.
Usually we make it difficult. It's like, what's your one favorite in your whole entire life?
Totally. Well, because I'm an elementary school music teacher, I've like sought out children's sing-along books, and the favorite one from this year is Imagine, which is John Lennon's song Imagine illustrated. It's so beautiful. It's really touching. Like, I would cry when I would read it to my kids. I don't remember who the illustrator is, but yeah, you could find it. And then also, I started reading them Octopus's Garden, which was turned into a children's book by Ringo Starr. There's another beautiful book called Life that I read my kids this year, and I apologize, I don't remember the author's name.
Like with the title, I'm sure we can do some searching and get.
So those were my 3 top books. You know, I do a lot of books that have to do with musicians and stuff. There's also a children's book about the life of Ella Fitzgerald that was really fun to read as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. And I know you mentioned about the song, and you gave us a little demonstration. We did have Paola. Wow, I just got goosebumps from your singing. Such a great voice. Aww. And we would love to hear you sing the song. We do have time for that. But before we get to that, I did want to thank you kind of for answering all of my questions and for being here today. Our next author interview will be Ian and Sarah Hoffman on August 30th at 2:15, so tune in for that. And then take the time to sing your song. We would love to hear it, and for all of our audience to get a glimpse of that too. Yeah.
Should we actually read it to them? Like, can you flip through the pages
definitely.
while I sing? That's the thing with having a sing-along book. Like, I either need to be an octopus or always have a helper.
Oh yeah,
I can't turn the
I'm
pages
a great
while
helper.
I read it. Something else really fun to know about the book is that, well, first of all, you can listen to it online while you're reading, and you go to my webpage or iTunes or Spotify or YouTube, and the song is on there. And then the other thing is that the back of the book actually has guitar chords, so and piano. So whatever instrument you play, you can learn how to sing the song and play it yourself, which is really fun.
Showcase that. So.
Okay. I don't know if you can see the guitar in the...
Yeah.
Okay. So the dedication is, may all beings find the courage to rise up from the muck. Lotus flower, like the sun, you rise up from the darkness. When tears come, your heart grows stronger. Like the sun, we rise up from the darkness. One yellow lotus flower wanted to sing a song. She asked the dragonflies and the frogs to sing along. Before she knew it, there was a symphony at the pond. One lonesome yellow flower sharing her life song. I was born at the bottom of this mud, slimy seed, I was murky and stuck, until a golden fish swam by, and what he said just changed my life. There's light at the top, you've got to believe me, so grow up and up and send your roots down deep. Ooh, ooh. Here's the chorus. flower, like the sun you rise up from the darkness. When tears come, your heart grows stronger, like the sun we rise up from the darkness. I didn't know if this whole life thing could be true, but I had to give it my all and see my mission through. So I sent my roots down into the dark and watery earth. It cracked my shell open, and the breaking was my birth. Were growing, my torso was getting strong. I could hear that golden fish cheering me along. I tilted my body back and lifted my head up high. For the first time in my life, I felt the blue beginning of the sky. This is it, I'm almost there. Maybe it's too good, I feel so scared. I feel it tightening, here comes the air, and I gasp, unfolded and died. Opened my eyes to the gracious sun, and in that moment she looked back at me. We fell deeply in love. She warmed my yellow smile as I cried out loud. I'd never felt so loved, I didn't know I was allowed. The sun said, lotus flower, you are my sunshine. Oh, won't you let my light in for the rest of your life? Yellow lotus flower, like the sun you rise up from the darkness. When tears come, your heart grows stronger, like the sun we rise up from the darkness. Now that I'm all grown up and shining like the sun, I like to sing my song for each and every one. For the seeds still in the mud and the buds who are on their way. Find courage through the dark and you will bloom one day.
Awesome.
Yay!
That was amazing. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here today. And thank you
so
all for tuning in.
much. Thanks for having me.